I'm going to be showing you guys now is how to use text in our designs in Onshape. So what I'm going to show you guys how to do is how to make kind of a simple keychain with like your name or some words on it. Okay, so this is going to be a very, very simple one. You can feel free to edit this and alter it however you want. I'm just going to show you the basics of how I would do this. So here I've got a new document started on Onshape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just draw this on the top. So I'm going to go ahead and click over here on the top to view the top plane. And let's go ahead and click sketch, and we're going to start a sketch on the top plane. So I'm going to click top, make sure it says top plane right here. So we're good to go. And we're going to try using the text tool, which is new for us. So the text tool is right here. It looks like an A. So I'm going to click it. And what you have to do first is once it's highlighted, you've got to draw a rectangle for where you're going to put your text in. Okay. Now this rectangle, how you're going to do it is you're going to click once for one corner, and you're going to pull it up. And as you size this, something to know is that what really matters here is the height of this rectangle. Okay, so the height is going to be whatever height your text is. This sort of length of the rectangle or the width here doesn't really matter. It's going to automatically adjust. So the height is really what I care about. So you don't want to make a huge one. I'm going to keep mine just kind of like this. Okay, and so once I do that second click and the rectangle's there, this little window is going to pop up. Okay, and this lets me now actually enter in my text and like choose a font. So let's say I'm going to type in, I don't know, Mr. Hens. Okay, I can choose a couple things here. We can make it bold, and this is the preview of it right here, or italic. I could flip it this way or that way, and then you can even choose a font. Okay, but the fonts are very limited here. There's like 10 options. And so you can kind of choose a different one if you want. I'm going to choose, who knows? Oh, that's not very fun. We'll choose this one. Okay. And so once you've got your font chosen there, you can pretty much only choose what you want the text to be, the font, and if you need to have it flipped for some reason. Okay. So I'm going to click the check mark, and you'll notice the height stayed the same on my rectangle, but it lengthened it a little bit. Okay. So if your rectangle is not locked on anywhere, you can just grab one of these corners and kind of move this around to wherever you want it to be. Now, if it were to lock on to, like, say, like this line like this, now I can't move it because it's linked to that line. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of that link. Okay, so here's my text. We could resize it if you wanted. So if you're like, man, if it's huge. You can come up here and use the dimension tool. We can just like resize some of this. Say I want this to be a little shorter. I could say, maybe I want this to be 0.75. Okay. So if you need to resize it, just use the dimension tool. That's the easiest way to go about that. Okay. But if the size of your text is okay, don't worry about resizing it. So now that's all I'm going to do for right there. I'm going to press our check mark. Okay. So there's our text. We want to go ahead and extrude this. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and click the extrude button. Okay, and normally we just come over here and click, which that works if it's highlighting the whole thing, but sometimes it only highlights like a piece of your text. So I'm going to just come over here and choose Sketch 1 in the menu. It makes it a little bit easier. Okay, and I'm going to set this depth to be, we'll do 0.5, half an inch. Okay, make sure it says solid, new, 0.5, and I'm going to click the check mark. Okay, so here's what I have. If I rotate my view, okay, couple things. You'll notice all this, each one of these is like a different color. Okay, each one's a different color because those pieces aren't touching each other. So those different colors means those are different parts. So like over here now in the bottom right or bottom left, there's a whole list of 12 parts. Those are just each one of these pieces of the letters. Okay, and we're going to end up merging those here at the end. So for right now, those will just show up like that. All right, so we've got our letters in here. Now what we need sort of like the background or backing to this, what's going to be a keychain. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start a new sketch. Okay, so now this time I'm going to do sketch. Okay, so it should say sketch 2 now. And I'm going to sketch again on the top plane. So sketch 2, top plane. And what I'm going to do is now we're going to draw like the shape of our keychain here. So you can do whatever shape you want. Let's say you want to have like a circle or a heart or a flower or anything. You could do any sort of background. But I'm boring, so I'm just going to do a rectangle. So I'm going to just choose a rectangle. And basically, we just want to kind of go, give it a little bit of space around it. Like that. So I just drew a rectangle around it. I'm going to press escape to exit the rectangle tool. So if you need to readjust anything or move it, you can grab any corner of the rectangle. Say you want to like come in a little bit. You can grab those corners and it should let you move it just like that. Okay. So there's our sort of background there. Then what we're going to also do is we're going to place a spot to put a hole for this keychain. So I'm going to add a circle. So I'm going to come here to the circle tool. And I'm going to add a circle to one of these corners. So it should lock on for you. And if you don't want to do it at the corner, maybe you want to do it in the center, that's okay. I'm going to just do the corner. And that looks like it's good enough. Okay, we're not going to worry about dimensions for this right now, since we're just kind of experimenting and playing in here. Okay, so now I've got a circle in there. So now all I'm going to do is we want to extrude this whole thing. I'm going to accept that sketch. So there's our general shape. So let's do extrude here. And I'm going to come in the menu this time and click Sketch 2. And let's change this depth. We're going to change our depth to this time be 0.25. So I want it to be less than what our text was extruded. That way we'll still see our text. And there's a couple things we need to adjust on here. We need to make sure this says add. Okay. And because we want it to add to those letters, we want it all to be connected and merged. So make sure add is selected, sketch 2, 0.25, and we got to click this merge with all button. And all that's going to do is it's going to merge with all of our letters. Okay, so like, whoops. So now we can click the green check mark. And now you'll see all those separate colors went away because it merged all together now that that backing is touching those parts. Okay, so there's what I have so far. Okay, so we've got sort of backing. We've got our letters coming out. And so we need to put a hole basically over here where your keychain would hook on. So I'm going to zoom this in a little bit. So we're going to start another sketch. This time I'm going to go ahead and click like this surface right here. So I'm going to just click there. So this is like face of extrude. And we're going to draw a circle that we're going to use to put a hole in this. So I'm going to click the circle tool. And now it should let us lock on here to the middle of that circle that we've already got. Okay, so I'm going to click that center. And we basically want the circle to be smaller because we're going to basically cut a hole through here. So you probably don't want it to be like too big because that's a very thin edge. So I'm just going to go about like that. We'll say that looks pretty good. Okay, I'm going to accept that. Now we're going to go to extrude again. This time we're going to choose remove. And I'm going to click this. Okay, and I'm going to rotate my view so you can see this. So you'll notice it's going that way. If for some reason yours is not cutting a hole right now, you may have to click this little arrow button that'll flip the direction. So if yours looks like this, it's red, just click that arrow there, and that should now fix that. Okay, so I'm going to click the check. And there we have it. We have a little bit of a keychain here. You could do some other things too if you wanted to experiment. You could try doing, instead you could have your text be a hole cut out of your background here. Or you could, if you wanted to round off some edges, we could use that fillet tool that we've used in the past where you could try to round off some of these. Like this, maybe not. But there's a lot of different things. You could round like two of the edges like that that you can experiment with to do this. Okay, so that's just kind of the basics of how we work with some text on here. Okay, so there's a very simple keychain with some words on it.